Hi friends, David here from Learn Stage Lighting, and in this video we're looking at this guy right here, the ADJ WMX1 from Wolfmix and ADJ, and we're going to talk about how to get started with it, how to use it, with my focus being primarily on non-DJ uses. The tutorials that Wolfmix and everybody else puts out are primarily geared towards DJs. That's kind of what this controller's designed for. However, I wouldn't stop there because it's a really versatile controller. It does a lot of things really well, and I think it's got a lot of use outside of the DJ space as well as inside of the DJ space. And we're going to walk through that and teach you about that as we get into the tutorial. So the first thing to do is hop into the Wolfmix right here. What I'm going to do real quick is just go to the settings, projects, new. So this is wiping out my previous show, starting from scratch. We'll give it a minute to get going. First thing to do is hit the fixture up in the corner, plus, and I'm going to start with some ADJ star bar washes. So I've already got ADJ here on the manufacturer column, and then I turn the second knob here to get to S. MNOPQRS. Just say your alphabet, everybody. We're going to do 2 of them, so I'm turning the amount knob to 2 right here. Okay. Add to, it says in the top corner. We're going to do that. Choose a mode, select a group. Now, in the WMX1, groups are basically how you work with fixtures. When you apply an effect or a color or something like that, it generally happens in groups. You actually work with groups a lot more than you work with single fixtures. So generally groups are each type of your fixture that you have in your show. Okay, now you see here there are 8 groups of A through H. Okay, and there's also an other column where you can stick other things. You want to keep your things down to 8 groups. Again, 1 group for each type of fixture. And if you do have more than 8 of each type of 8 types of fixtures in your show, then you can combine them together. It's just sometimes the effects and stuff, you might dial it in and it might look really good on one fixture type and not as good on the other. So if you do combine different fixtures into the same group, I'd say, you know, make it if they're both pars or they're both moving head spots or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to choose group A, then I'm going to go back, I'm going to press add new fixture, and I'm going to find the focus 2 X's, focus spot 2 X's. Amount, this time 4, add 4, 18 channel mode, that'll be group B for us. We'll keep it simple, we're going to back out of it. It says please wait, don't turn off. Okay, so now we're already in here and we're actually already ready to go and start programming. Okay, a couple things you're going to notice first on the WMX screen, okay, and on the buttons. They come and they're lit up to begin with, so you could actually turn these off, just a quick flash off, and these top knobs, as it says right on the screen, are a dimmer control for that group of lights. Okay, pretty simple. All right. Then what you have below it, basically, this is kind of where you definitely see the DJ lighting heritage, is you've now got a flash or a solo basically for each group of lights, and you have A through D, and then you can shift BPM to get to the next 4. Or if you have a second Wolfmix, you can get to all 8 at once if you link them together, which is a little add-on. But then you basically have color effects, teal, you see that lights up when I hit it, and I see a color effect on the first group or on my second group. Movement effects, that's only going to apply here to the movers. So the par lights, the star bar washes that I have, it doesn't do anything. And then beam effects, which can be any variety of things with kind of color and intensity involved. And so you see that. So you see right out of the box, the cool thing about the Wolfmix is it literally builds you a page of stuff that you can smack buttons and make pretty cool lighting with. Literally, you can step into a venue as like a small band and patch in the venue's fixtures and then hand this off to, you know, somebody's significant other or, you know, the merch person or whatever. Show them the ropes of this basic page here, you know, and say, hey, you know, you hit this and it flashes. You hit this and we get this color effect. You hit this and you get this movement effect. And now, you know, without literally more than like 3 minutes involved, you get a full page of stuff where you can start to build a show. And this could work even for a church. But there's more to it. There's a lot more going on that I want to show you just here at the basic level. So if we look at the right side here, this is an all open and strobe, so everything just opens up to white and starts strobing. Great for the end of songs for bands or DJs. This is strobe, so it turns everything, makes it all flash real quick. This is a blinder button, so white and just on. This is a speed modifier for the BPM. So you hit that and it does modify the speed. Blackout. And then smoke fires a smoke or haze machine if you've got one. Now, any of these can actually be customized. So like speed here, you see we hit that, it's going to 2 times the speed. But we can adjust that. We can actually hit these different buttons and adjust what this control does. Okay, and that's going to work for any of these. So there's options for all of those, and you could do so with that. Okay, now smoke, like we mentioned, smoke, haze machines, it can be set so that you turn it on, turn it off. It can be set so it only runs when you hit it. That would be flash mode. And you can even set these like, okay, run for 5 seconds or 1 second when I hit it, and then it stops. Okay, I like toggle, let's pretend it's a hazer. And so, you know, we've got that basic page. Let's dive in. So these, now we have color, movement, and beam effects, and these are kind of like editors down the side. So if we go to the color effect here, we can select a group of lights, or both. And then the area below is, you can see the buttons are kind of lit up faint, but then these two are bright. So this is actually selecting the colors that it goes through in the color effect. So you can select everything and start to really get a rainbow. Or if you just select a color or two, you now get just a 2-color effect. Okay, now the effect can be modified. So what we're doing here is, you know, this is just a rainbow effect, but we can bring up the speed, make it go much faster. The phase, how much the fixtures are offset. If it's 0, they're all together. If it's at the top, it's completely offset. In the middle, there's lots of different ways that it chases. Size does not affect this one, but it basically affects how much the value changes in the effect. And then fade is, does it jump between lights or does it fade smoothly? Like here, if you slow it down, you can see, okay, we literally, you know, it's step on, step on, step on, step off. But as you add the fade percentage, now there's some fade in between steps. I'll speed it up a little so you can see it. So now it fades constantly. Or if you're at 50%, it fades for half the time and it waits for the other half of the time. Okay, there's lots of other effects in here, which is the really cool thing too, is that you go in here, you can build all sorts of different effects, bring in your different groups of lights, and what you'll see when you go back to the home screen is now that color effect that I was just building is able to be fired right here. Okay, so I can go back to the color effects, I can, you know, change the colors I'm running. Find something like that, back home, and that's now the color effect that I'm bringing up. Okay, so I can even do this, you know, here there's no fixture selected. I can go and change it to green blue. Now I go home and I fire it and the effect is running in green blue. So you can see how it's really great for on the fly stuff. Your other effects like the movement effect and beam effect are going to be the same way. Of course, the movement effect only applies to a group that has moving lights in it. Okay, so for example, let's go ahead and just turn on, well, we can hit blinder at any point, so I can just hold blinder for a second so you can see them really well. And then again, you've got all of these different effects and shapes that can be brought up, and you're able to just go in here and adjust the various parameters. Oops. And you're able to get completely different looks. Again, fire it on, fire it off. And so that's kind of a busking, like a live and on the fly mode. Beam effects are going to be kind of intensity based in general. And so they've got similar things. Again, you're adjusting all kinds of things here. Able to press different parameters at the bottom, get some different stuff. The next part is the standard, the static parameters as noted here on the side. So the static parameters are going to be color, position, gobo, and live edit. Okay, so this is really stinking cool because if you have a bunch of lights, let's just turn off our effects here, and you go to color, and you go to group A, and you select 2 colors. Okay, so I select some colors here. You see I'm getting single colors. My rig changes to that color. But I can also go ahead and select a color mode. I don't know if you can see that on there, but there is basically a little, yeah, you can see the little dots there. So instead of single color or flash color, I'm now in a color mode with some different circles. So now I can go and I can select multiple colors. So we've got this amber and this red, and now it's every other fixture. Now it's center out fanned. Isn't that cool? And so the way I like to think of all of this, because that works with color, there's similar things with position and choosing different positions where those moving heads point, okay? And then being able to press shift, press the position, and adjust that for all of those fixtures. As you can see, you can adjust it, get it where you want it, and then you can go ahead and hit shift and hit the button in order to save it. Or no, I apologize, hit the button again to save it. Shift in the button will actually cancel it. Okay, so shift in the button to get into it, adjust it, hit the button itself to save it, and then you can go back between all your different positions. Gobos for those that have gobos, you can change those up as needed. It's got a rotate on the knob if your gobos do rotate. So it was doing that by default. Now we'll shut that off. You can also go ahead and toggle through to get your second set of gobos. Okay, and then we have live edit. So live edit and presets. So live edit and presets are 2 pages where things in the Wolfmix really get interesting as you start to build this out, especially for non-DJ lighting, but also for DJ lighting. The difference is pretty simple. So if we go here to the presets are basically moving or non-moving states that you built. So if I go home and I turn on this color effect and I turn on this movement effect and I say, okay, I like that, I go to my preset page and I hit shift and I hit my second preset, actually the 5th preset, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can give it a name. I'm not going to. Press enter. And now I just saved the state basically of what I made here. So if this was edit mode, basically building all this stuff, then my preset calls all of that up. So I can go back to the standard one. I go back here, it's recalled those settings. So I can still hit that preset or hit this preset, right? Go back home and change stuff, okay? So maybe the preset is the start of a song, and it's got, you know, a color effect, a movement effect, and a beam effect built in for your lighting rig, right? And you just tell the person who's running show, hey, hit this to start the song, right? Hit that preset 5. Then go back home And once you're on the home screen, then you can go and start and stop the effects, adjust the dimmers, flash. But what you can basically do in the case of a band lighting or church lighting or even corporate events or an event center is say, hey, you know, we're going to build in the presets the ability to just hit the song. That's going to get you started with the song. It's going to have the lights on and in the color for the start of that song. When it comes to adding movement as things get up, flashing, you know, doing an open and strobe at the end of the song, you can then go, once you've selected that preset, as we said, go back home, and then you've got access to all of that stuff to be able to run your show. And so the beauty of this, again, is that you can set this up, and it's pretty quick to set up, but then you can quickly get a non-technical user up to speed and rolling and building and playing around with the lights without really having to teach them much at all. Let's talk about live edit. So the live edit section is where basically you can get to all the stuff you can't get to anywhere else. This is where, you know, when it comes to building presets, the presets are good and the presets are cool. But if you're not doing some basic, you know, group-based effects or static positions, or you want to work with channels that aren't addressed in here, like you notice you've got color position beam, so like things like your prisms aren't in here, things like your zoom not in there. Okay, the live edit is where you can start to get to that stuff. So we click over to live edit. Let's say I just click the first one. Now it displays all my fixtures. So when we get into live edit, we start working with pretty raw DMX channels. So say we just grab our 4 focus spots. Now it says edit 4 in the corner. And now we have some options as to how to store what we've got in here. One thing you can do is you can hit record DMX, and when you do that, it brings in the state basically that's being played currently out of the WMX1. So it's not recording like a DMX input or anything, it's just recording, okay, here's the DMX values that are going out right now to our stage from whatever we were playing, all right? But you can adjust these manually too, which is where it really comes in. So you've got something like a prism, right? That wasn't in anything else. So I can now go, bring up the value. Yeah, right there, the prism went in, I believe. Okay, and so now we'll go ahead and we've got a preset for the prism on those lights. Maybe I go and I tilt them up at the disco ball. So I grab the tilt, oops, and I turn the value. We turn them up, and then maybe we bring them up to full, take our color to white. Okay, so that should be white there. I think it is. It's a little hard to see. And so now we've built our live edit button, so we can just go ahead, back out of it. Okay. And did I press the button wrong? I might have. So bring our prism up again. Apologies for that, for hitting the wrong key. So anything you basically work with in here basically overrides it. So if it's the dashed line on the screen like you see for most of the attributes, that's going to stay the same. So I'm going to press Shift Live Edit. That now saved my live edit palette there. And then when I press that on, it goes to those exact DMX channels that I set. When I press it off, it goes off. So the live edit basically can work in conjunction with the presets. So my presets bring back what I had recorded, but then ultimately my live edit can also bring back things that I recorded. So now I've set that one up, and maybe I go ahead now and store that to 9. Enter. Okay, and so now we go back and forth between our different presets. We store that to preset 9 as our start. Okay, so you can begin to really see here how basically the left side of the Wolfmix is your editing side, and editing anything that's static, color, position, or gobo or movement, color, or beam effects is really dead simple. So easy. Even the live edit section is really simple too. It takes a second or two more, but it allows you to dial up any DMX button, any DMX channel rather, for any light. And you get so many of these. You get 40 of those live edit buttons, and then you can put those together. You can combine them along with the regular attributes inside of everything on the left side here, and then you start to build those into presets. And there's 5 pages of presets. They can have fade times, and so that's really how you build up a show. So thinking about just as we close here, okay, so this can get really abstract, and it's like, okay, you probably see here how simple it is. Like if I were doing DJ lighting, to just go ahead really simply and be like, okay, patch my fixtures, go to my home screen, make stuff flash, make stuff move around, what have you. That makes a lot of sense in the Wolfmix. But when it comes to other types of lighting, when it comes to lighting a corporate event, when it comes to lighting, a church service, you could literally set up, again, the different looks that you want, right? So you're setting up, color and position. You're building out your library. You can then save other parameters into live edit, and then start to build presets. So in the case of a church service, you can have these buttons labeled right here, and you can make this first one your pre-service, then your first song, your announcements and preaching, right? More songs on these other buttons, and have volunteers switch between them. Again, they can have fade times. So like a 5-second fade right there means it's going to take 5 seconds to fade in or out, right? It's going to take 5 seconds for that one to fade in. There it did. Okay, so you can have fade times on this stuff. You can really build out, even for a corporate event, just basic look 1, look 2, look 3. I think this, even in the corporate space, and you might look at me like I'm crazy if you're like, this is a DJ controller, but it's not just a DJ controller. Like I used to do corporate events, right? And I worked as a lighting designer at a corporate events house. And sure, when you're doing corporates, you've got large events with lots of moving heads and large ballrooms, but for every one of those, there are 20 gigs where you've got 4 Alicos in the back of the room shining at the stage, some uplights, and that's it. And this WMX1 is actually like a really good solution for that. Just being able to have some basic presets and being able to call between them to call up, okay, this preset, this preset, this preset, go. Or working in the live edit, right? And having multiple of those where, just to dial some second one up, what you'll see here is, if we just dial up something, you can see we can combine live edits. So maybe for a corporate event, you're like, okay, I'm going to be on the live edit page. I'm going to have, these basic, front light up, this up. And I can work with those different presets, save those into presets and have a bunch of different combinations, every combination I need. Maybe the first row, and you can color code them, is with the lights up and then different color combinations. Maybe the second row is different chases and effects. Maybe the third row is something different, right? So you've got all these options, and you're able to go literally and save all of these different presets, work with them, and there's a lot of control there as to how to make them work. So is the Wolfmix WMX1 for everyone? No, of course not. Like anything we look at here on Weird Stage Lighting, nothing's for everyone. But I think when you dive into it and you start to really spend some time in this controller like I have, you can start to see how it can serve a lot of different types of events and do a really good job when you have simpler needs. So, if that sounds good, we've got the WMX1 at Weird Stage Lighting Gear, and we would love to serve you in getting it. We also have road cases for it. We didn't see anybody else building a road case, so we've got one. We can get them custom cut for you. And last but not least, if you're looking to get started with lighting and you just stumbled on this video, head over to LearnStageLighting.com. We've got videos. They're going to help you. We've got a free guide right on that homepage that's going to help you with your type of lighting, learn what it takes to get started. And then we're here either through the education side or through the gear side to help you get everything you need to make that incredible show and then learn how to do it. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much. Bye.